on strong, let the record spin. If you want to know the truth, pull up and listen in. There's truth on tap and lies on ice. Cold, hard facts with a little bite. No ivory tower, no polished spin. Just cracked glass talk and a worn down pen. Raise it slow, let the real one speak.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Every day.
I love it.
Welcome back, man.
Episode 2, 2026. First week of session.
Busy.
Yes. Wide open.
Busy, man. As we said in the midweek sips, man, it was just trying to get our bearings and make sure we weren't chasing too many squirrels and rabbits.
Yeah, and then whenever we tried to do the midweek sips, we had the whole
Verizon blackout.
outage.
I was impacted literally from 10 in the morning till 10:30, 11 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then all of a sudden, start pouring in. So,
We got-
episode 2.
Thank our sponsor.
Yep.
Comer Distributing. This week's beer is Sweet Baby Banana by DuClaw Brewing.
Yeah. And this is our, I think, first beer out of a Jersey brewery, so we might be a little critical.
First Yankee beer. Yankee
But
beer.
so if you've ever had a Sweet Baby Jesus, this is what Blake over at Bottles told me on Main Street. This is Sweet Baby Banana. So it's a chocolate peanut butter banana porter. And, this reminded me of a funny story. Folks, we've always been about transparency. We want to take the curtain back on what's going on at the State House. And this is a little fun fact for you. Representative Gary Brewer, close friend of ours.
Weird.
we always give each other a lot of hell, as they say. I didn't realize until, a couple weeks ago that he eats his banana with a spoon.
Yeah.
Did you know this? He peels it back, gets a spoon, and will eat it. And I've never seen anyone eat a banana like that, but he says it's enjoyable. And so, hey, Gary Brewer, this Sweet Baby Banana, this week's beer choice, toast
Just
to you.
Yeah.
Toast to you, my friend.
Very, very fitting. But this has chocolate peanut butter.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Elvis. The Elvis sandwich, as we used to call it. Did you ever eat them growing up?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, man. But didn't he put something weird on it? I mean, I did like banana, peanut butter, maybe a little bit of mayo. Okay, so everybody
you can't
did that.
mix peanut butter and banana.
Man, you put Dukes on one side, you put creamy peanut butter on the other, and the banana's in the middle, baby.
You either eat it with banana and peanut butter or banana and mayonnaise. You can't mix.
No. You can do both. Okay. Hey, 2 listeners.
Sounds like a good poll.
We need some comments once we post.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duke's mayonnaise on one side of the sandwich, peanut butter on the other, bananas in the middle. I'm going the Elvis way.
No. We had bananas, bench trials, and bathroom bills.
Yeah,
That
all
was
in one
our
week.
big thing this week, right?
All in 1 week. Gary with the banana eaten with a spoon. Bench trials. Yeah, let's talk about that.
May.
That was Wednesday morning for us.
I wonder how RJ eats his bananas.
Oh, man. So Wednesday morning, you, myself, and our colleague David Martin all attended RJ's sentencing trial over there at the federal courthouse. And folks, it was accountability. Justice was served. There was a lot of lawyering going on about enhancements and this, that, and the other. But bottom line, our former colleague in the House and South Carolina Freedom Caucus founder, RJ May, was sentenced to 210 months in federal prison. That equates to 17 and a half years.
17 and a half years, 20 years supervised once he gets out, and then $58,000
in paying of restitution.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a whole shocking tale. This sort of closes that chapter for us, at least, not for him. But, as we talked about in the midweek sip, I mean, this is just horrific crimes and images and videos that he was watching and sharing that really just troubled everyone who heard about this stuff in federal court, last year. We also then heard it again in sentencing.
Yeah, the sentencing was a lot longer than I anticipated.
Yeah.
I thought we would go to the sentencing, be able to get back for our York County women coming down.
Yep.
But the sentencing took a long time, but it taught me on the legal side of things, how they come to a decision.
Yeah.
But it was heavy.
Absolutely.
I would say the shocking moment came whenever a fellow colleague, Representative Ryan McCabe, wrote a letter
Yeah.
on behalf of RJ.
In a little context to that relationship, Ryan McCabe serves that Western Columbia, Lexington area, doesn't he?
Yeah,
A
they're
little
very
bit?
close friends from my understanding.
Yep.
But that was, regardless, whenever you hear those crimes,
Yeah.
to know that anyone is suggesting that he needs
Reduced sentencing.
reduce sentencing so he can spend more time with his kids.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
And you can tell that personal relationship impacted, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that was from a personal side.
And I think Ryan is a man, a good heart, and he will always do what he thinks is best. He's catching a lot of heat for that.
Yeah.
I completely disagree that he ever should have. But I also feel like he is standing up for what he thinks is best for the kids
Yeah.
and for RJ.
Well, and, give it a little time too. In 2 years, if you ask him, hey, would you write the same letter? Maybe his answer is different, right?
Right.
With a little time and perspective. But yeah, and again, as we talked about in the midweek sip, folks, when we talk about RJ May, everyone just assumes, because he's Freedom Caucus founder, we just want to kick him while he's down. And, we don't want that. We really want justice to be served, and that's what was served. I think Judge Curry did a good job in applying justice there. But the human side of RJ's criminal decisions was on display as well. We mentioned this on Thursday. We'll reiterate it again. This impacts his family, not only his soon-to-be ex-wife and children, but also his dad, his stepmom, and, his sister came up and gave a tearful, and, she was strong
Yes.
in the sense where she even said, look,
She didn't ask for a reduced sentence.
she didn't. She said, she seems like she is someone who goes to church every Sunday. Like her faith's a big part of her. And she talked about that. And she said, look, I will accept whatever justice you hand down.
Yeah.
And that takes some strength.
Especially to do it right in front of your brother.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
So again, RJ May has now been convicted. South Carolina Freedom Caucus founder will be serving 17 and a half years in prison with supervised after that. So,
Yeah, and this is, like you said, you don't want to kick him while you're down. No, I want to curb kick him after doing stuff like this. I don't have that forgiveness in me, but I understand. I can't imagine being a child and your father, going to jail for something like this and what you're going to have to live with. So
Yeah.
I don't want to bring family into this or anything else. This is one horrific individual, and hopefully he can't get any worse. So there's only ways to move up from there.
And here's another thing. Just when your bleeding heart may be going out and wanting to, give grace and forgiveness, which again is noble. Let's remember the victims here.
Yes.
What I didn't realize was that the children, and folks, when we say children, we're talking about toddlers, and we're talking about, they said the average age was kindergarten to 5th grade in these 480 videos, give or take. And some of the actions that were going on in these videos was, and the U.S. attorney talked about them in graphic detail, and all of us were like, it sickened our stomach. So let's remember those victims. And look, it doesn't just happen once. These families of these victims get notified every single time these videos and images of their toddler kids are being used as evidence in other crimes all over the world.
Yeah, so one of the stories that they gave was, a girl talking about being raised with her dad. They're just taught that this is normal, everyday practice, and they don't realize it because
A girl that was in the video
Yes.
who was victimized.
And now she's an adult, and she wrote a letter, I think it was, to RJ, explaining this, because every time those videos are shared, Nick Mick notifies the victim to let them know.
Yeah. And
that's why things like Take It Down are so important.
Yeah.
If something's reported, it's got to get taken down.
And here's another thing. Parents, if you have children, and I have a soon-to-be 17-year-old daughter, I have told her, never, ever, 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 ever
Forever.
share photos over through your phone or your devices because they will never be erased, right? And so, God Almighty, I hope she heeds those words.
I
But,
just hope CVS, whenever I was in high school,
stop.
didn't like share stuff. No, I'm
yeah.
just-
So parents, if you want to make an impact, please get that through to your kids. Do not send revealing images through your devices because you never know when they'll come back up. So
yeah. And then we had the bathrooms. So the York County women came down.
yeah, so this
Which
is
was-
all on our Wednesday, right?
Yes.
So and again, we're all sitting there in federal court while the lawyers were lawyering, and we're like, man, it is already 11:30. We had been there since what 10.
Yep.
But
we had ordered sandwiches and
yeah,
everything.
we had
for
lunch
all the
for them
women.
and all that. So yeah, let's set the scene. There was about 50 women from York County who all wanted to come down and support the effort to protect girls' spaces.
You had York County GOP,
Yep.
Lake Wiley Republican Women Rising, and Moms for Liberty
Yeah.
women all there.
Yep. All decked out in some pink.
Yes.
Hot pink. And so they're easy to spot. But so they came down on a bus, did a press conference, I believe at 9:30, 10 o'clock, right when we were over at
Yeah, we had
the
to leave at
sentencing.
9:30.
And so they did a press conference, but we had Senator Clymer helping host, Travis Moore, Tommy Pope.
Jackie Terrell
Yep.
was there.
A lot of other folks were there to help be hosts to them.
Yes.
Did the press conference, then they went over to the Black Building where Representative Travis Moore was chairing the subcommittee that was hearing that bill. And there was so much testimony and discussion, they actually didn't get to vote
Yeah.
on the bill to get it out to full committee. But they continued that over. I believe that subcommittee will resume.
Next week?
Yep.
Or this coming week, excuse me.
Yep, and hopefully they'll have enough time to be able to get a vote on that.
Just common sense. You know, one of the testimonies was from someone that had transitioned to a man. If you looked at him, you couldn't tell.
yeah,
Situations like that, no one's going to report. Look, I've been at sporting events where a woman's waiting in line in a men's restroom. No man ever complains. They're not worried about it.
Yeah.
They're going to go into a stall. Not an issue. What we're really concerned about is protecting our young ladies
right.
in these spaces.
Yeah, men not going into.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you've tried that at Outsiders a time or two, but we're going to make that a criminal offense. But
Oh, men's night. That bathroom's long.
stop. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get that passed, and we'll see what happens because I know that has been an ongoing issue. We got it in a proviso a few years ago. Now we need a legislative foundation. So
Not we, you.
what?
You don't want to take credit for it, but
No.
you and Wes led
Yeah.
that charge on how to get it done because of the situation that happened to you. And regardless of whether people want to give credit or not, y'all handled that. I even remember getting a phone call from someone in York County said, hey, why don't you have the guts to speak up and do something about this? I said, look, they know I'm a bull in a china shop. Wes and Heath have this. I trust them. They will get it done.
Yeah. Yep. And so, and a proviso doesn't have the strength of legislation. And in reading the federal court decisions up in Virginia, which is the Fourth Circuit, I believe, they've said school districts need legislative foundation to then set policy that will execute protecting girls' bathrooms and locker rooms. So that's what we're going to do hopefully this year and get it to Governor McMaster for him to sign into law.
Yes.
This episode of Pints of Politics is brought to you by Comer Distributing. Comer Distributing Company is a wholesale beer distributor located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 1971, Comer is a family-owned business that distributes beer and other beverages to York, Chester, Fairfield, Lancaster, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties.
There's truth on tap, don't choke it down. If it stings a little, you're close now. From state house halls to a beat up bar. Same old games, just different cards. Raise a glass for the ones who vote. Pints and politics, that's truth, no code.
Man, AI.
I tell you, and folks,
the computer.
thanks for tuning in. We're trying to improve the reach of the show, so we cannot use all the fun hip hop music that's been copyrighted
Yeah,
that
it kinda
you
throttles
and
us down.
we all know and love, and so we have now gone to AI generated, um, where we're throwing in transcripts of episodes, and then all of a sudden we get a bluesy.
Sound to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great. This segment, we want to talk about sort of cutting the red tape.
Yes. I mean, the RAINS Act, we talked
Yeah.
about that earlier last year.
You had a press conference, right?
Yeah, well, I attended DC with AFP to kind of learn a lot more about the RAINS Act, so I understood how we were pushing it across the country. But this is to eliminate a huge percentage of our regs. The estimation is 20 to 30% immediately.
Folks, for you at home, that's estimation.
Estimation. Yeah.
Brandon Guffey, author, scholar, House representative.
Yeah. I was trying to say estimated, but then it kind of changed more. But estimated to cut 20 to 30%. He's got me feeling dumb here.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, this RAINS Act is common sense.
Yeah.
Again, you and I, as freshmen, let me tell a little bit. When we were on regs?
Regs.
So, folks,
Nothing got through.
when you come into office, you learn that you're going to be on a standing committee, which is Judiciary, LCI, 3M, Ways and Means, whatever. Then you also learn you're on a secondary committee, and that is, we were on regs together. There's also oversight. There's O&M, which is operations and maintenance of state facilities, things of that nature. So anyway, we were on regs, and we found out that there was a lot of regs that were either out of date, didn't make sense, weren't applicable to the way we run government or do things, right? And so we're like, man, we need to go through these things.
Well, and also, the good thing about RAINS Act, just like we're sitting there, they could make a suggestion to change a regulation, but they didn't have to quote where in the law it gave them the authority to do so.
Yeah.
So RAINS Act forces them to state exactly where they have the authority, and with any new regulation they bring up, they have to suggest two regulations, possibly to eliminate.
Yep. And so Representative Guffey explained that well. When we pass a law, let's say I pass a law that affects Department of Public Health. The Department of Public Health will then write regs that wrap around that law. And so what he's saying is any new regulation that an agency years down the road wants to propagate, they have to cite what authority, the legislative authority that's given to them, that they can write that regulation.
Yes.
So thus, it's got to be foundationally sound based on the people's reps writing the law.
Right.
Right. And instead of government bureaucrats running wild like we have seen up in DC.
Well, and this puts checks and balances on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Which is what everyone wants. We don't want bureaucrats running the show.
Yep. And here's another thing too. There's a lot of duplication in our regs right now. So 10 years down the road, when we're, say, not in the legislature, there may be another HHS director or DOT secretary, and they may have an idea that's very similar to what we already have in regulation, but they're new, they don't know about it. It's like, hey, why don't we do this? Well, this ensures that we're not having that sort of replication, that duplication, or even overlap. So,
and many of the regs are updating previous regs that were put in place, trying to update the language. But yeah, we had I got a call from the speaker's office about attending a interview in the morning. And this was a national publication. I don't remember which one, but it was myself, Speaker Smith, Davey Hyatt, Brandon Newton, talking about the RAINS Act. And then we left and went to a press conference for the RAINS Act.
Yep.
To which the senators were coming up, Senator Tom Davis, Majority Leader Massey. Last year, we passed it very early, unanimous. So it was everyone agreed with this. It goes to the Senate, and it didn't move. And we were pushing for it. However, they seem serious about getting this done. It will give South Carolina the ability, and other states have passed this in piecemeal versions.
Yeah.
We will be the first to have the full RAINS Act.
And as we talked about on the midweek sip, that it seems to have some traction over in the Senate now. The governor has expressed his willingness to sign this into law. So
And we got to thank AFP for all their
Oh, yeah,
help and their foot soldiers, all the members that came up there for that as well to participate in the press conference. It's just huge.
And speaking of cutting more red tape,
Yes,
we had
DOT.
we had 2 more DOT ad hoc committee meetings. One on Tuesday after we adjourned that ran till dinner time, about
Yes.
6:00, and then we had a follow up on Thursday morning. It looks like this thing's coming to a conclusion. You know, this has been a listening road sort of tour last summer into the fall. We went all over the state listening to local governments, local citizens about their concerns about their roads, their bridges. But we also included all types of transportation too. So we wanted to bring in the ports, airways, all that kind of stuff. But it looks like all of these efforts are now coming to a conclusion. We do have a draft form of a bill, I think, that we're going to finalize Tuesday.
We still got a few changes to make, I do believe. But
Yeah.
the committee kind of has the draft put together.
Yep, and before we even go any further, definitely want to thank the chair ladies,
Erickson.
Shannon Erickson out of Beaufort and Heather Crawford out of Ori. They've done a wonderful job. And, you know, we joked around, they were the only 2 women on the committee, and they were chose to chair it. And we all said good luck with all of these rowdy yahoos that we
I always say women don't know how to drive on roads. But maybe they know how to fix them, right?
Stop. But yeah, no, seriously, kudos to them. Kudos to managing all of us and all, you know, because we've got some strong opinions. Me being in construction, Gary has been a consultant, you know, 2 guys like me for years. And Heath
This is
bananas
called
with a
the
spoon.
Gary Brewer Pope episode.
No,
do
but
believe.
seriously, Gary Brewer is very knowledgeable about.
I mean, he's the original road Fauci. Right?
The roads are.
Yeah.
The old roads are. But no, seriously, and you know, he had a lot of input. A lot of us, and when we would have questions, right, about whether it's CTCs, we go to Don Chapman. When it came to can we change how much money's appropriated for C funds, you know, we'd ask Brewer. But in all seriousness, Gary Brewer is very knowledgeable when it comes to this issue. He was a good, I think, resource for a lot of members. And so I thank him for his help too. But I think we've got, you know, as the chair lady said during Thursday morning's committee meeting, you know, this is sort of like a budget bill. It's got that feel to it in the sense of we're trying to comprehensively modernize, make more efficient, restructure how South Carolina plans, governs, funds, and delivers on transportation projects all across the state.
Yes.
And
Efficiency.
You're not going to please everyone on that committee, and there's about 30 of us, it seemed like. But I would say everyone's happy with about 80% of the bill, 85% of the bill.
That's just called good legislation.
You know what I
whenever
mean?
can reach that.
So,
right?
is it perfect? No. Can we do more? Absolutely. But we needed to take this first important step, and I think that's what we're going to deliver next week.
I mean, and we discussed everything from being behind, 30 years behind on repairing bridges to concurrency. You know, we went through to eliminating steps in the process to begin with. Or how to
and
make it more
restructuring
efficient.
the authority of the commission because,
Yes.
folks, we have learned the hard way when you have a commissioner or 2 or 3, when you have a commission that wants to do one thing, and then you got a governor who wants to do something else, and then you have the secretary of the DOT who hopefully is with the governor. It creates an impasse and gridlock, and the only folks who suffer are you and I traveling on these crappy roads, right?
Well, I am confident in our DOT leader right now. He has just been there, 2 years? He's on his 2nd year?
Yeah, I think
and then
Dustin's
all
doing a
this
good job.
conversation's coming in. That's like he's catching heat for a lot of the issues that we have. He's coming in. I think he's working on efficiency.
Yeah. I think
Even trying
Dustin-
to speed up the process.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I think this legislation will sort of realign the authority that the secretary has, right? So we're trying to empower his position to where he is aligned with the governor and he can take us to that sort of more efficient level of how we run the Department of Transportation. One thing that I have got to stress is I learned a lot that local municipal government, cities, counties, make a lot of decisions that impact state roads, state infrastructure with no care to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It seemed like there has been a de-linking of overdevelopment on a local level and how then that impacts state resources and state infrastructures. And then the state is caught with its pants down because they need traffic lights. They need to widen highways. They need to put in turn lanes. Well, folks, the Department of Transportation outlays a 10-year plan with budgets, in mind. And then all of a sudden you got, just for an example, Cane Bay, or you got the Fort Mill area here in York County. All of a sudden, the county's approving 2,000 new rooftops.
I mean, we had that problem in Lake Wiley. It's a perfect example. You can't get down 49.
Yeah.
And then whenever it starts moving, now we've got severe accidents that happen because of all of the development around.
Yeah.
And there's only one channel in and out.
So definitely this bill is trying to force a collaboration that local decisions, when they impact state infrastructure, the state being the DOT, has a voice in that process. Not the authority, but there's communication back and forth. And I think that is critical to how we move forward in building roads.
Agreed.
Well, I woke up to a headline, same light, dressing new. Suit on the TV telling me what's true.
Oh, can you trust that?
I tell you, I cannot get that video that we were shown with the guy eating the banana with the spoon. I can't do it.
Did somebody record Gary without him knowing?
Oh,
But the other things that we had come up. So the social media design bill, it was Weston Newton's bill that passed last year whenever I was testifying
yeah.
in Congress. The Senate pushed it out last year. Instead of us approving on the last day, we decided we were going to hold it, pick it up right away. We made some changes, yes.
Well, and let's talk about some of those changes, right? Because, folks, there's 3 co-equal branches of government. A lot of other states around the country have passed legislation similar to this, and it's been tied up in court. So, tell the 2 listeners about that one.
Yeah, I mean, so the big thing with this is the original bill, whenever I met with Casey Mock, who's now working with Jonathan Heights, the Ancient Generation. But at the time, whenever he brought this idea to me and we sat down working on it, it's about designing the social media for safety, just like you do for products. So it's saying that you have to keep that in mind. As the bill progressed, we had the parental consent for age verification, which is Weston Newton's bill. However, a lot of that has been challenged in court. So that had to come out, but it does have the civil liability still in it, which the Senate also pulled out. And whenever the Senate updated it, the bill, whenever they sent it over to us, they were using the language from the first draft that we worked on instead of the updated that would withstand court battle.
Yeah.
So we basically did a strike and insert. We sent it back. But Senate, the ball's in your court. The bill is good. It will hold up in court now. We want you to go ahead, get this thing passed, get it over the finish line because it can protect many children out there. The other one that we had come up, NIL.
Yeah. When was that? Was that Wednesday or Thursday?
That was Wednesday, I believe.
And Davey Hyatt took the well on that one. And again, this is something that's just, it sounds like it's just going to be some ongoing issues because NIL is relatively new. It's a dynamic environment. Things will always change. And so I think we're always going to have to, as a state legislature, always going to have to be willing to be flexible, nimble, and quick.
Yes.
When it comes to this issue. And the 2 listeners are probably saying, why can't you do this for roads or whatever? I wish we could do this on everything. But on this
These
one,
aren't big changes.
on this one particularly, there was a court case here in our state that FOIA'd, I believe, folks who were giving to the
Athletes.
the NIL bucket, sort of the foundation. I don't know if it was Clemson or Carolina. I'm not going to name them, but anyway, that is a private entity that, fundraises and collects money for NIL.
It's not going into the general fund of the school. It is
Yep.
a separate fund.
Yeah, and so this court case is challenging, saying that NIL money, because it's going to an athlete at a publicly
At a public university.
Those are now public funds, and so we want all the personal information for all those donors.
Yeah.
And then we quickly acted here in the House and said we, succinctly defined that and clarified it to say that's NIL bucket. That is private donor funds. You cannot get the private information or the personal information of those donors. And so we sent it.
And North Carolina and Georgia already has this in place. This is just to protect our universities and our athletes. The question is, how many more championships can Clemson win by not disclosing their donors?
Yeah.
We know it's not. I don't know. Maybe they give money to NIL for women's basketball.
I did enjoy the moment of levity when Chris Hart took to the well, started talking about Gamecocks. And, I think Speaker
That
Smith,
was hilarious.
cut him off a time or two. He goes, "All right, I'm cutting your mic off."
But the friendly banter was great, though.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So, those are two things that we did in the House, sent to the Senate. So, folks, call your state senators.
Hey, was
Tell
this
them to get on
not
it.
one of the more productive first weeks?
I think so.
Typically, first weeks we're not doing a whole lot, and it seemed like we kind of jumped right in.
Yeah, well,
It wasn't full-fledged. We were dipping our toes in.
Yeah.
But we got some things done.
Yeah, well, and it's indicative, I believe, of the second year of the term.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Last year, because folks, House is on 2-year terms, so we have new members come in, when we start a new term. And we like to give, those are new, a lot of times committees get reshuffled a little to account for the new membership. So there's a little bit of a learning as well.
Yes.
In that first year. Second year, it's more back to business. It's hello, how are you doing? How was your Christmas? How's the family? Good. Okay, now let's go to work.
Yeah. Usually everything kicks in full-fledged right after the State of the Senate.
Yeah, so
we get the governor's budget.
That's right.
Neon lights flicker, bars half full, old men arguing laws nobody reads through.
That's funny. That is a reference to.
So we pour one straw,
Yep.
the record spin. If you want to know the truth, pull up and listen in.
I let it play a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's right. Man, what do you think about the Sweet Baby Banana?
It's all right. I like banana, peanut butter together. Even whenever I get a smoothie, I'm usually getting banana, peanut butter. So.
It's kind of dessert. It's like a dessert beer.
Yeah, I can't eat it with a spoon like Gary, but I can drink it at least, right?
Man, I'm telling you, he's gonna love us for this episode.
All right, so the next big thing. This is, I debated on whether we should play our AI or whether we should play Uproar.
Oh, yeah. No. So closed primaries has been a topic of conversation amongst, I would say, your local party members here in York County, the York County GOP. I remember being
Not just here, statewide, over the past decade.
I'm just saying for us locally, I remember first hearing about closed primaries in attending a meeting, and afterwards having a conversation with 2 or 3 folks. And so this has been a sort of a push on a grassroots level or AstroTurf, depending on what you consider, that we should close primaries to protect the integrity of our primary elections. And folks, the premise is that there is a massive groundswell of Democrats who go and cross over here in South Carolina, jump into a Republican primary to influence the outcome of who wins the Republican primary, thus influencing the election.
And I think that's true in some districts, correct? In both sides. I think there's an influx of Republicans that might vote in Democrat primaries in some of those areas. And it only becomes a problem whenever we're talking about like these 65 to the 35 districts.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
that's where it becomes a problem whenever people don't feel like they have a voice, and that's the only thing that they can do.
Right, correct. And, this is reminiscent. I mean, this whole idea originated with Project Chaos
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh.
back when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were running seeking the presidency in what, 08, when it was, that Democratic primary.
It started with Republicans being encouraged to vote in Democrat primaries.
Right. So this was an idea born
Yeah.
behind the golden microphone of Rush Limbaugh. He populated this idea of Republicans jumping in to influence the Democratic primary.
Said nobody will ever vote for a guy named Barack Hussein Obama.
Right.
So we've got to support him over Hillary Clinton.
To achieve a better outcome in the general, right?
Yeah.
And now it's come full circle. It literally has come full circle.
They're like, oh no, we can't let them use that on us.
And so this is what we're facing. And in the House, there are two bills: House Bill 3310 and House Bill 3643, that are making attempts to close primaries, right?
Yeah, but 3643 was put before the state Republican Party, and from my understanding, it was voted on unanimously.
Yeah.
Not a single party, local party, voted against this bill.
Yep.
But now that we've submitted it, many Republicans signed on to it as soon as it was. I mean, it's been submitted for years and years and years and years. So
Yeah.
our state party said, look, we've kind of given you a pass to say we got to get these other things, but this is our priority.
Yeah.
We got to get this done. So we put the bill back up.
And I think you and I signed on to
Yeah.
3643 last January when we started the term. And we just, for some reason or another, it never got to committee or didn't get a hearing last year, did it? I don't remember.
No, I don't know that it did. I know it's part of our agenda.
Yeah,
So we got to get it done.
And so 3643 basically says that Republicans can come and vote in the primary.
If you're a registered Democrat, you cannot vote in
Yep.
the Republican primary. So
And-
it still
and-
keeps Democrats
And
out.
what we consider unaffiliated voters, which are independents.
Ones that haven't registered yet.
Yeah, they're
That's
neither.
the key. That's the key point. It's not like you're flip flopping.
Yep, they're
haven't registered
unaffiliated. They are not Republican card carrying members. They are not registered as a Democrat. They're not registered as a Green Party. They are unaffiliated, so they're independents. An independent can walk into a primary and register to. So let's say it's the
Well, they
Republican.
vote in it.
Let's say
Yeah.
it's a Republican primary. They will be registered as a Republican Party member.
Once they make that vote, then they are now registered as that party member. And in order to, let's say they wanted to go vote in the Democratic primary next year,
Can
they
do
have to do it 45 days prior
Yeah.
to the primary. So it's not as if, you can be a Democrat. I mean, right now you still can. You just change your primary
Yep.
voter membership, and then you can come in and vote. But the other thing that it did was said that you had to vote in two of the last three
Republican
primaries to run as a Republican or a Democrat, vice versa, because we keep saying Republican, but it's both.
Yeah.
But this also says that you had to vote in two of the last three primaries. Well, that could be a problem if you're someone that just moved here. Let's say you're military. Like we have a
Correct.
situation down in the 1st Congressional District. And those are things that we may have to address to say.
And let's pause there for a second, because I do believe we now have folks, keyboard warriors and such, getting on social media saying that 3643, this closed primary bill, was written specifically to prevent so-and-so from running for whatever the office is.
Right.
David Pasco's name has been thrown out there. As you stated, we have a veteran who served in our military who is running for US 1 down in the low country. This would impact him.
This bill was filed way before any of them filed.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
But I do think all of those claims are mistaken. And again, check my math, but I believe 3643 doesn't go into effect until after the June primaries, right? So that is a key difference between 3643, which you and I have signed on to, and 3310, which we have not. Because in an election year, you don't want to be janking. You do not want to be messing, I believe, with the voting process. this close to a primary election, it's going to get, and again, not for me and you, not for folks who are all into politics, but for the normal families, the normal voters out there with kids playing ball, going to school, them working, they are not paying attention to a closed primary or an open primary. They're not going to pay attention. I'm telling you, they're not. And so that's the difference in 3643, which we've signed on. It's not effective. It will not impact this June primary.
I've always, my problem, and I believe, I don't believe anyone's voting in an election really to change the results. Maybe ones that are extremely close, those few that are kind of going over could influence it. But I see this, and the libertarian in me says this is giving the government more power. You're making them, let's say you're in R.J. May's district. Use that. Prior to him getting arrested, he's the only Republican on the ballot. And his house gets raided, what was that, like 30 days before the primary? Or before the election?
Yeah.
If that was right before a primary,
it was 60 or
he's
so.
the only Republican. Well, now you don't want to vote for a pedophile.
Right.
So how are you supposed to show your support and go out and support someone else that you might agree with more without the government saying, no, you can't do that now? No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That becomes my problem with the closed primaries, whereas what we have in place right now is you can vote in either one, but if you vote in a Republican primary, you're giving up your voice in a Democratic primary.
You have picked a lane at that point.
Let's say you're in one of these blue counties and you've got a Democratic sheriff, which we all know the old school Democrat is kind of like the moderate Republican now.
Yeah.
But they just vote, blue dog Democrats. They're always going to vote D.
Correct.
So this sheriff is a good law and order guy, and he's in that county. And many will argue that was David Pascoe whenever he was in Orangeburg.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
a blue county. He might have been more conservative, but he had to run as a Democrat in order to be elected.
Yeah.
Well, now you're saying you can't come back. Well, now if we're going to do this as closed primaries, if you're going to argue that you can vote, we don't want Democrats voting in a primary, why are you saying we're okay with Democrats running on the ballot? And look, any of these people can go before the party and get approved by the party to say, nope, I really did change my party affiliation.
Yeah, and again, this creates a lot of barriers to just normal folks voting.
It's growing government.
And that's sort of my concern, right? I mean,
I'm going to vote
turnout,
for it if it comes to whichever bill comes to the floor. I'll vote for it because that's what my constituents want.
Well, so what's voter turnout is extremely low anyway.
This is going to lower it.
We're talking 8-10%.
And we're going to see these more districts that are, that 50, 55. We're going to see a lot of them turn blue.
Well,
And
so that's my concern is that I want to encourage more voter turnout. I want to make voting, I wouldn't say easier, but definitely when you go to the ballot box and go to cast a vote, I don't want to make it more complicated for the voters. You know what I mean? And again, we talk
whenever
about,
you were running, did you not have a lot of people call you that really never really participated in primaries? They would always vote in the general, but they were never very active in the primaries because everyone's got life. And then whenever they go to vote, they're like, oh, well, I moved. I didn't know I had to do this. I didn't know how to do this. And then their vote's not counted.
Yep.
And it's very frustrating.
Correct. And so I just want to make voting, I want to keep the integrity of our elections, but I don't want to create oversized barriers to where folks can't vote. Right. And to this thing, the irony of this whole closed primary debate is that the folks who are in a race to get out this message that they're the most pure Republican are the same band of folks who are supporting David Pascoe, who was a Democrat last Tuesday. And again, no shade on David Pascoe. I've always respected sort of him as an attorney. I actually appreciated.
He's a law and order guy, regardless
Correct.
of party affiliation.
I've always appreciated what he did in sort of getting corruption out of the General Assembly when he did. I think that was Bobby Harrell's day. So I've always respected that. And I don't care. If he was a Democrat last Tuesday, he wants to be a Republican now, that's fine.
I just don't like the rhetoric of just joining the party and then saying
Yeah,
everyone
correct.
else is rhino.
I mean, folks, I know we all have the memory of a gnat or 20 seconds, and we can't remember. Donald Trump was a New York Democrat.
and he wouldn't be our president if we all had closed primaries.
And
because he was one of 16.
right.
And trying to move his way up with the registration process.
He brought in so many new voters that, wouldn't have a primary voting experience.
I agree.
Or, you know what I mean? All of these things. There was a lot of voters that came to the polls for the first time in 2016 to vote for Donald Trump.
Now, my father-in-law.
And so all I'm saying is I don't want to make it more difficult for a new voter to get involved in the process. I want to encourage voter turnout, not discourage it.
Right.
And again, this is not a purity test for you or I, but these bills, I'm confident that the subcommittee that's taken these up will hear them all out. They're going to hear this type of debate go on. And I do believe they're going to give us a bill that's going to be the best for South Carolina. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, Democrats, y'all don't want a bunch of Republicans acting like they're Democrats to influence your candidate in a general election.
Right.
Republicans don't want that either. But we do need to consider the independent voters that have traditionally always voted Republican in November. And we got to consider independent voters who have always generally voted for the Democrat. And so you don't want to exclude that middle 30% of South Carolina voters if they want to participate in the primary. So we got to figure that out.
Well, and we also have the issue, parties change. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
The parties move. I mean, if not, I'm sure the Democrats really don't like the statue of the largest racist ever to come out of South Carolina, and it says donated by the Democratic Party sitting on the state grounds. I don't believe the Democrat Party believes...
The current Democratic Party of the state?
Yeah, the current Democratic Party does not believe that. So parties are constantly transitioning by those who are active within the local party. We have many local parties that it becomes a pissing contest and running people off that disagree with you, or silencing voices, which we've talked about. We don't get invited to speak at our local party. They only want you if you're a Freedom Caucus member or you're in the Senate, which they don't have a Freedom Caucus, right? So,
I'm still waiting for my invitation, though.
Yeah. But this bill, the 3310, like I said, I believe it's government overreach and unneeded, except for in very small instances. But the party has voted on it and said we need to pass closed primaries. Then we have 3310, which is more of the way Florida does it. Like you have to register, you're stuck in whichever party, and you can change it. I don't have the bill up in front of me, but I can't remember if it's 30 or 60 days that you have to change it prior to the primary. And I believe that there's so many, and as I was saying earlier, my father-in-law is about as far right as you could be, Republican, but he still doesn't understand the primary process.
Yeah, right.
He's only going to vote for people. And I still think one of the biggest problems we ever had in this state, which helped Republicans get elected, is the straight party ticket voting. Because then that hurts our municipal elections if people are on there or unaffiliated school board. You know, and these situations where people are just voting straight ticket and then they're not voting for the others because it's all about, are you a blood or are you a crip? You got a red flag or a blue flag?
Well, yeah, and again, this is a debate that we're gonna see come up in the next few weeks. It's a nuanced one, right? And there's a lot of circumstances that are involved that you have to consider. Some folks say we need barriers to create a filter for purity, right? Other folks are saying, I don't want barriers at all. I want people over politics.
Right.
And so, I think those two competing positions, I think it'll get meshed out. I do think that we're going to come up with something that works and we can get consensus around.
The one thing that I would challenge everyone to think of is kind of like what Governor McMaster said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is the first time the Republican Party has ever had a super majority.
Yep, in both chambers.
And now we're saying, oh no, this isn't good enough. I mean, technically right now, the Republican Party can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So now you're saying you're cannibalizing yourself. And that's going to shrink. You're hijacking, as you're about to say.
No. I was going to say, I feel like, Tiger Woods, after he wins 4 or 5 Masters tournaments, a couple of PGAs.
Changing his swing.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? I really need to tweak this swing. And it's like, what?
He did tweak his swing. It just included taking a lot of pills and running around with a bunch of women. And we see he's garbage now.
So, but yeah, I mean, but that is a good point, right? I mean, we have super majorities on a state level. We have a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and our U.S. congressional seats.
Yeah.
Dominated by the Republican Party.
And I would say our own congressman, Ralph Norman, it's not that he has a bad argument either. And if you just hear one side, you're always going to be on that one side.
Yeah.
If you're going to close the border, why not close the ballot box? It's a good argument. But at the same time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're already in the supermajority, and I want to make it easier. We complain about less than 10% showing up to primary to begin with, and now 100%. We're talking about making it harder for those to show up.
Yep, that's right. So again, this closed primary debate will be ongoing. We'll give you updates in the weeks to come. Last but not least, what we got going on next week. I know I've got a big Tuesday coming up. I've got some doctors coming to see me. We have the medical non-compete bill.
Yes.
We're getting this bill basically says you can't have medical non-competes. There are some considerations to where if you sell a practice or you're an out-of-state doctor where the medical facility has paid you a sign-on bonus or relocation, if that doctor comes down and quits during the term, you can claw some of that incentive back. So it's a pretty, I think, balanced bill. And again, I do believe if we're going to provide the best healthcare, we got to start with the environment of which our healthcare professionals work in. And by eliminating medical non-competes, I think it brings us closer to that end. Secondly, on the agenda for Tuesday is parental rights. I know you and I agree on that one.
It's just common sense.
It basically just fundamentally parents have the right to direct their child's education and medical and healthcare decisions.
Yeah.
That's it. And we will hear some horror stories of children as young as 12 getting, I would say, groomed or guided in a way to change their gender, start taking drugs, and there was no communication from the school officials and the parent. Said child or children then have mental health issues that lead them to attempted suicide. They then go into the medical to seek help, and the parent is not being told, not being listened to, not being allowed to parent their child. And folks, I come from the idea that I don't need legislation to empower me as a parent. I have 3 children. I will be the guiding voice in their upbringing. Problem is, that's not the way it is in every single state around the country. And I've been really, really skeptical, but then turned because I hear some of these stories happening here in the state.
Right.
And so it is now deemed it necessary for me to bring that up in the hearing. We're going to have Tommy Pope is one of the primary sponsors of that bill and others. So we'll have that as well. And then we have 2 other bills, one on ivermectin, one on mRNA vaccines. There's a lot of...
Get that ivermectin thing done. I'm tired of eating horse paste on crackers. Just let me take a pill.
So that is as far as I've gotten for next week is Tuesday morning. So I'm sure we're going to have a fun-filled, action-packed week. I'm hearing that we have the Judiciary Subcommittee has an abortion pill law.
Yes.
They're also going to be hearing the closed primary. So a lot of other things. Oh, and then the Protecting Girls Spaces will also be.
I mean, And
Oh,
I
my
haven't
goodness.
even gone into
And the
committees.
DOT.
And the DOT. So next week we'll be busy.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, and also, you on the LCI will have the insurance reform that there was an ad hoc for that you
Yes.
were on. Y'all are taking that up, I believe, in full committee because subcommittee passed it this week, is what I'm hearing.
Okay. I'm not on that subcommittee, so I don't know. I was like,
Hey, heads up, it's coming. So, looking forward to that.
it's too early in the week. I do
Yeah,
this
yeah,
on
yeah.
the weekends.
We got to do a lot of things to reform not only insurance in regards to, say, workers' comp, P&C. We also need healthcare reform. So I know I have a lot of bills on that, and we will talk about that in the next episode. But again,
And then, well, you didn't even get to me.
I know,
What you
I
got
know.
coming up? No, I got my book turned in. I got to work on.
hey,
Yeah.
congratulations,
So,
man.
Got it done in time. Now I got to turn in pictures of where to put them at. Did the little bit of work with Newsmax on something, and
Hey, let me pictures, like photographs.
yes.
I got plenty of me and you. I'll ship them to you, man. Get on the
Well,
cover. if
we
you
got
can.
the chapter within the book called The Porch Caucus.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's funny. So I threw that in AI to kind of create a song. And whenever I did it, so I just threw the chapter in. It was like, hey, just kind of write me a song. Me and Lawson are sitting at the condo, like joking around. I was like, let's see what it sounds like. We did it like different genres. But it was hilarious because it's like, Heath Sessions did this. Brendan Cox did this.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little bit more specific whenever you
Mine probably said Heath Sessions kept me for doing something silly
yeah,
or
so-
getting in trouble.
Yeah, I think it called you my get back coach.
Well, thanks for listening. That's all for this episode 2 of 2026.
Sweet baby banana.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I don't even know what a porter is, but it was pretty good.
Thank you to Comer again for supplying the tasty beverage. And folks, don't
Not
be like
bad for a Yankee beer.
don't be like Gary Brewer. Do not eat your bananas with a spoon. Just unpeel it and go.
Yeah. Don't eat them like RJ either, but eat them the right way.
Cold hard facts with a little bite. No ivory towel, no polished stem. Just crack blast talk in a worn down pen. Raise it slow, let the real one speak. Pints and politics every damn week.